Hey there, hockey fans. Nick Hart here, and as you can tell by my surroundings, I'm cooped up just like the rest of you. I'm not at the office. I'm not at the rink. I'm right here at home. I hope everyone out there is staying safe, staying sound of mind during these very unique circumstances, these very strange times. Hope everyone's doing great out there. I know myself, I would love to be calling games right now, being on the radio, on AHL TV, bringing you guys some hockey action. But the fact of the matter is, that's not the case for the time being. So to kind of keep my mind stimulated and try and, I guess, stay somewhat mentally active during this time, I decided, you know what? Let's give the fans, you viewers out there, some opinions that you did not ask for. Simple as that. We're going to make some tier lists here on the Penguins YouTube page. I know these tier maker tier lists are now all the rage. All the kids are doing them right now. You can set up certain tiers for a number of different things, different categories. You can really make a tier list based on anything. But what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and rank, put into tiers, some old hockey logos, starting with this one, defunct AHL team logos. And when we're talking about a tier list, we're not talking about necessarily a power ranking where we say, this is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 5, number 8, things like that. No, you sort of have sections that you're going to organize everything into. And for the purpose of this defunct AHL team logo tier list, we have 5 different tiers that we will put 30 old AHL team logos into, starting with number 1. The best category that you could get put into is sad it's gone. Simple as that. You miss this logo. You miss seeing this on uniforms twirling around the ice. The sad it's gone category. Then you have good, pretty self-explanatory right there, a good logo. Then the middle tier, not good, but inoffensive, just sort of in the middle right there. You don't feel strongly enough about it to be like, this stinks, but you're also, it doesn't make you feel great either. Bad, just like good, pretty self-explanatory, just not a good logo. And once we get into this, I think you'll see what I'm talking about. And then the bottom tier, the worst, the absolute worst, as bad as it gets. As we go through these, you'll see there's some pretty great design, some pretty not so great design going through these. I'm going to sort of be ranking number 1 primarily based on my own opinion, but the kind of things I'm going to be taking into account right here are, the color scheme, basic design principles. Furthermore, just, how would this look necessarily as a brand? Because ultimately that's what you're looking for with a logo. How would this look with branding on a hat, on the front of a uniform, on a t-shirt? That goes a long way whenever coming up with a good logo. You can come up with some sort of super intricate design, super well-detailed thing, but if it doesn't look great on the crest of a uniform, or if it becomes too difficult to stitch onto a hat, what's the point of having that logo in the first place? Furthermore, I'm going to try and keep personal feelings out of it, but sometimes nostalgia or just the way a logo hits you a certain way, sometimes it just strikes you right here. And you know what? It's going to be raised accordingly. Furthermore, I want to make it very clear, we're not ranking based on team name. We're not ranking based on uniforms, uniform design. We're going strictly logo on these tier rankings. And once again, as I said, these are my opinions. This is just how I feel. I'm sure there will be some disagreements by you viewers out there. And if you do disagree, hey, slide into the comments. Put your own opinions down beneath where you think I got it wrong, where you think I got it absolutely right. But without further ado, let's jump right into this right here, our tier list of defunct AHL team logos. Ooh, one more caveat, sorry. One more thing before we really get into this. We only pulled 30 logos. There were a lot of more that we could have used. I don't want to hear people in the comments say, oh, well, that franchise is still around. They just relocated 5 times. No, if the team isn't in the league anymore, they were up for grabs for this ranking. Also, we disqualified teams that basically strictly modeled their AHL logo after their NHL affiliate. Similarly to how the Providence Bruins are now, it's the spoked P instead of the spoked B. The Binghamton Devils, I give them a lot of credit because they decided to break the trend of longtime New Jersey Devils affiliates like the Utica Devils, the Albany Devils, the Lowell Devils, where it was basically the New Jersey Devils logo with a different letter. So shout out to the Binghamton Devils for doing something different. They will not be on this list either because they are a current team. These are defunct AHL team logos. So now let us dive right in, starting with a team in a city that a lot of people would like to see hockey return to. The Houston Aeros. They're our first team to pop up here on the tier list. What do we have here? It's the Houston Aeros logo. Okay, so you sort of have that bomber plane coming out of circular target. Maybe that's supposed to be a hockey puck. It's got that menacing glare coming off of it, the paint job on the front of the plane, and then Houston arrows written over the top. Pretty simple. They try and get a little creative here by arching the letters, but it's sort of uneven. If you see the bottom of the A, it doesn't meet the bottom of the S, and the top of the A is sort of a little bit below the top of the S on the other side of Houston arrows. So it's a little bit tilted, askew, if you will. Overall, this isn't a logo that I'm crazy about. I know a lot of people might disagree with me here just because they love the Houston Aeros. They love the idea of having hockey in Houston. But it's also not necessarily a bad logo. I think right out of the gate, we kind of had a mid-tier logo. Houston Aeros, I'm going to slide them into not good, but inoffensive. Who do we have next here? Let's move on to the Iowa Chops. The Iowa Chops. Very brief time in the American Hockey League. Sort of a very strange color scheme here. Very muted with that gray, white, black, and sort of a dark maroon to it there. The pig design itself, the menacing pig head, you know, it's a good design. It's a sharp design, but I feel like it gets really subdued in that very cold color design, if you will. Very gray, very muted. I give the design of the pig head a lot of credit, but overall, I think this might be, case in point, the perfect example of not good, but inoffensive. It doesn't really make you go cuckoo crazy that it's great, nor does it make you go like, that's a bad logo. It's sort of right in the middle, right in the middle. All right, the Abbotsford Heats, our next team on the block, and this is a logo that I actually have some feelings towards. So we're breaking out of the not good but inoffensive range. The Abbotsford Heat, a Canadian team that played in the American Hockey League for a hot minute. They were affiliated with the Calgary Flames, thus Flames Heat. This is a bad logo to me. You'll hear me talk about this a lot in these tier lists. I'm not a big fan of long logos or tall, skinny logos. This is a long logo that's sort of short and stocky and long around the outside. And you want to talk about a boring color scheme. Black, gray, white, and then just a little bit of red here on this streak coming out of the puck. It's dull, it's boring, it's uncreative. It just says Heat with a puck. That's a big-time mail-it-in logo. In terms of the actual design of it, I guess it's fine. The font isn't terrible or anything like that. That's why I'm not sliding it down into the worst, because you'll see some of these logos are a heck of a lot worse than this. But this is our first nomination for bad. Now, let's go from one Calgary Flames affiliate to another. We have the Omaha Knights. And I said before, we're not judging teams based on their team name or anything like that. Knights. What a mouthful. That's a mess. And yes, I know it's Nebraska spelled backwards, and they try to be cute with that, but you could have just been the Knights. Anyway, the Knights, this is a good logo, in my opinion here. Yeah, they go a little bit overboard with making the T a sword over here when they really didn't have to. They really tried to lean in there on the Knights aspect of it, and it sort of makes the writing here, the script, a little imbalanced. It's a little bit heavier on this right side than on the front side because they really had to do that sword on the T. But overall, I really dig this. The knight head itself is a really sharp design. And then if you look very closely here, the back end of it, this hairdo, this mullet, if you will, coming out of the back side of the knight helmet, it's not actually hair at all. What it is it's a nice little trick. I said before they were affiliated with the Calgary Flames. That is actually the back half of the Calgary Flames logo. That's the flaming streak from the Calgary Flames C. You can almost sort of see it there in the head itself. They take away that front half of the logo so you don't get the C from Calgary Flames, but just a nice little tinge, a little homage to their NHL affiliate. And those little minor tricks go a long way. To me, good logo, Omaha Knights. Not a great name, but good logo. Now we have the Baltimore Skipjacks. This is a team that me, for whatever reason, this really hits me. One of those logos that it's not overly complicated, but it really hits you and it just looks sharp. I'm going to put this in good as well. You have the sort of ship steering wheel in the background with a black and white circle, and then just a very simple yellow font, Jacks, once again on the black background and a black stroke that you can't really see all too well on this black tier maker background. But it's simple, it's to the point, it looks sharp, it's not overly complicated, nor is it overly simplified. I'm a big fan of the Baltimore Skipjacks logo. It's not quite sad it's gone good, but I feel like it's right in line with Omaha Knights in terms of being good. Definitely not good, but inoffensive, but not quite in the sad it's gone territory. All right, who do we have next? Next we have, okay, the Cincinnati Swords, going way, way back here into the AHL archives for this team. And I dig this logo a lot. I think this is, once again, you want to talk about being simple, being to the point, being sharp, looking great on the front of a uniform. Oh my goodness, just imagine that, pulling that sweater over your head every single night. That's a good, sharp, simple logo, not overly complicated at all. I'm putting this straight up to sad it's gone. It might be a little bit dated in terms of its look. It looks a little bit 70s, but hey, a lot of the best logos in sports came out of the 70s, so I'm not going to penalize it for that. Just the C in front of the cross swords with Cincinnati Swords written on the outside, held together in this tidy little circle here. I think that's a really, really sharp throwback look right there. That's going straight up to the top. Our very first sad it's gone, and it's a very simple logo, but an effective one to me, the Cincinnati Swords. Now we have the Oklahoma City Barons. Oklahoma City Barons, team that played in OKC for quite some time in the American Hockey League. They were affiliated with the Edmonton Oilers, and you can sort of see it in its color scheme right there. They have the oil rig in the background. That's sort of the main focal point of this logo. Barons written on the front, all held together in the little shield, the crest, if you will, almost a very soccer-like design in that regard. I'm putting this in not good, but inoffensive, largely because, well, I like the oil rig, and I like the way it's sort of contained within this shield. Minor dock points for the italics on Barons. I think it would have looked a lot better if it was just simply straight up and down, Barons written elegantly across the front. But once again, minor points dock. The real reason I'm keeping it here in the middle is I despise that color scheme. And this goes for when the Edmonton Oilers were using this color scheme as well. I don't know why Edmonton ever went away from the bright blue and the bright orange, the good old days of Gretzky and Messier. Thankfully, they've gone back to it now in the McDavid-Draisaitl era. But this time right here, when they were sort of using this bronze and navy blue with red for whatever reason mixed in there, well, no, that's a no guy from me. It's an okay design. It's not great, but it's also not worth putting in bad. So once again, a textbook pace of not good, but inoffensive. Okay, this guy right here. Fans that maybe clicked on this video may have already expected this guy to show up. This is the Beast of New Haven. No, not the New Haven Beast. The Beast of New Haven. And this guy here is a little monster. Just look at it. It is an absolutely horrific logo for all the wrong reasons. It is not intimidating. It's cartoonish while also being over-designed and uneven. It is just a complete and total disaster. Some people they do love this logo because it sort of falls into this so bad it's good category of sports branding and sports logos, but as much as I'd love to put it all the way up here, no, this is the worst. Just look at this guy right here. This is the worst. The Beast of New Haven is our first nomination for the worst. Oh, okay, here we go. We have the Nova Scotia Voyageur, Montreal Voyageur, Nova Scotia Voyageur. They sort of had the same logo, regardless of the location or relocation. Affiliated with the Montreal Canadiens for a hot minute there. And this is another old school looking logo that I absolutely adore. This is going in the top two categories without a doubt. And, well, you saw a lot with 70s logos, and you saw it perhaps most famously with the Quebec Nordique and the Hartford Whalers, is that 70s logos knew how to use negative space and just, once again, very little tricks to subtly get their point across here. Nova Scotia Voyageurs is going into the top category for me because it's so simple, it's so clean. You have the big V for Voyageur all held together with this red circle in the background, and you have these folks canoeing in the middle here, but you kind of see they get lost behind the backside of the V, so it's actually like they're traversing through a little valley. A river on a valley right there. It's really good, subtle but awesome, simple but effective. Nova Scotia Voyageur, straight to the top, a sad it's gone logo here. All right, now we have the Lowell Lock Monsters. Ooh, okay, and this is not like the Monsters uniforms that you see perhaps today that you know from the Lake Erie Monsters and Cleveland Monsters, where it's sort of the mysterious beast just poking over the edge of the water line, cresting above, looking almost impishly on at its potential prey. This, they're giving you the whole thing right here. Nessie is out of the lake, and it's got a hockey stick in its hand. This is bad. This is not good. It's over the top, not to mention it's uneven because you have the tail of the monster going out to the side. So actually the triangle that's supposed to be the base in the background here, it's sort of shifted to the left. It's not actually dead center because you got this tail kind of going out of the way. This is a bad logo. This is a good example of just trying too hard with a very cartoony dragon, lake monster-like creature. Obligatory hockey stick there. No-go from me. It's a no-go from me. All right, let's keep going through it here, folks, because we got 30 logos to get through here. Let's go on now to the Buffalo Bison. Okay, an interesting one here. Once again, you can tell that this is old school, a bit of a throwback here. And if you're thinking, that looks a lot like a bottle cap, what does that have to do with Bison? Well, that's because it is a bottle cap. It's a Pepsi cap. The guy who bought the team after it played one season in the AHL actually also owned a Pepsi distribution company. So he was looking for some sort of like old school synergy cross promotion. So he made the team's logo a bottle cap that said Buffalo Hockey Club. And the corporate synergy here. All apologies to Jack Donaghy. I will badmouth synergy because it does not work as a hockey logo, in my opinion, especially in this case. The question is it bad or is it the worst? A bottle cap. Buffalo, it's the worst. I'm sliding it down here in the bottom. In terms of actual design, it's not bad. You know exactly what you're looking at, but it just leaves you as a little bit of a head scratcher. Like, why am I looking at this? And the reason is the guy also owned a Pepsi company. Go figure. All right, who's on deck next? Carolina Monarchs. Carolina Monarchs. Monarchs, a very popular hockey nickname, as we've seen throughout minor league hockey. Teams like Royals, Monarchs, things of that nature. And they always sort of go down the same path. You have a lion, a very royal sort of animal, and they like to throw a little crown in there. This logo, absolutely no different here. You have a very bright and boastful color scheme here, sort of almost Florida Panthers-esque with that sort of bright red, the gold, and then the, of course, royal purple, just sort of tinged in there. I'm not sure what you'd really call that red. It's not quite a peach. It's not really a pink. It is sort of red. I don't know what you call it, but to me, this is not good. It's inoffensive. It's a well-designed lion head, but sort of the Monarchs court kind of arching over the background here. It doesn't really make me go absolutely crazy cuckoo bananas for it. It's not as bad as the Heat or the low lock monsters here, but I can't put it up with the Knights or Jacks, and of course not with the Swords or Nova Scotia Voyageurs. Okay, now we have the Cleveland Barons. There have been many Cleveland Barons franchises, historic throughout pro hockey, NHL, AHL, even junior hockey. There have been iterations of the Cleveland Barons, but this particular logo that we pulled here, straight out of a time where, yeah, as you could have imagined, they were affiliated with the San Jose Sharks. And this guy here, this is bad. It's over the top cartoony. It didn't need to be this at all. I'm not sure why they decided to fix what wasn't broken, or at least attempted to fix what wasn't broken with some more traditional Cleveland Barons logos here. You have a shark with a monocle and a top hat, tuxedo and white gloves. Oh, it's just too cartoony, too goofy to actually take seriously as an intimidating force. And cartoony is the perfect way of putting it. Once again, this looks like something that would have happened in a throwaway episode of Looney Tunes, not in a hockey rink. So it's a bad logo. Is it the worst? No, not quite. But shark with monocle and top hat, you can't put it in here. It goes straight to the bad category. Now we have the Providence Reds. All right, an old school team from, of course, Providence, Rhode Island, one of my favorite cities to visit in the entire American Hockey League. And, you know, the Providence Bruins, they've had a good run since the 90s. This team obviously predates them, a very historic American Hockey League franchise that isn't around anymore. And they had one of the very best logos, skyrocketing this guy straight to the top. Sad it's gone. Another classic example of old school, so simple but effective design. You have the sort of rooster head contained within the circle. Red, white, and blue, pretty traditional, maybe not overly creative color scheme. But red is obviously the focal point with the team being named, the Providence Reds. You have the P being formed right here by the chicken eye, and then the gobbler on the rooster then makes it an R as well. So you have Providence Reds all in one. Classic old school 70s sports logo design, and I am a sucker for that kind of design when it's executed correctly. And this is a perfect example of strong execution there. So straight up to sad, it's gone for the Providence Reds. Now we have the Edmonton Roadrunners. There's been a lot of Roadrunners teams in the American Hockey League. Toronto Roadrunners, currently the Tucson Roadrunners. And they all sort of stay in the same lane, different iterations of this cartoon Roadrunner head. I think the current Tucson Roadrunners iteration of that Roadrunner skating kind of thing is the best that's ever been done. This is not one of the finer executions. This is bad to me. The head is, I don't even know what's going on here. It is super, almost like an interpretive art blob of shapes trying to make a bird head here, and it's sneering. You have the dust cloud in the background, of course, with a Roadrunner here, but then you have this, is that supposed to be a wheel or a gear? Because a wheel would kind of make sense because you're running on the road, even though it is a bird, but it sort of has these really deep indents, almost like it's a gear. Is it supposed to be like a monster truck wheel? Why would it be a monster truck? It's a Roadrunner. Doesn't make sense to me, and it's another long logo that you really have to squint to kind of see the details in it, and the color scheme is absolutely atrocious. Even worse to me than the Oklahoma City Barons, another Edmonton Oilers affiliate that was similar but not quite as bad. This is bad. Edmonton Roadrunners gets a thumbs down from me. Baltimore Bandits, from one long logo to the next, I'm throwing this one straight in the bad category. You have a little Rocky Raccoon with a little thief's mask wearing across his face. Purple and black and gray, the color scheme. Not absolutely bananas about it. I will give it some points for being different, being somewhat original. But the little cartoon raccoon in front of a moon, it just looks childish. It doesn't look sharp. There are a lot of ways you could do this and make it look cool. This is not that way. This is not the way to go. And once again, very long, stretched out primary logo. Gets the thumbs down from me, straight to bad. The Fredericton Express, another red, white, and blue team here. And once again, I want to give teams points for having unique color schemes, something different. Red, white, and blue seems super overdone, but the Fredericton Express, another red, white, and blue team that goes right in these top two categories. Skyrock, and you know what? I'm putting it right to the top. Another sad it's gone logo, and I know I'm sort of contradicting my own rule here by saying I don't like long stretched out logos, but I've seen this actually with a circle in the background here, sort of containing it, making it look a little bit more centered, if you will, a little bit larger in the middle. But once again, classic 70s design. You have the bullet train in the background, and then you have an F and an E for Fredericton Express. It's so simple, but something about it, you look at it, you're just like, that's good. That is sharp. That is a sharp logo right there. Fredericton Express for me is a sad, it's gone logo right up there with the Swords, the Voyageur, and the Reds. And here's another one. I might as well pull this one out that's breaking my own rules whenever it comes to what I like, what I don't like with logos. The New Haven Nighthawks here. I said I don't like long logos. I don't like tall, skinny logos. This is maybe the tallest and the skinniest you'll find. But there's just something about this guy right here that speaks to me. I see it and I go, oh, that looks good. And there's a lot that I can't even figure out about it too. There isn't like a NH, New Haven. It sort of has these cross-cutting wings that then go underneath the bird head, and then it gets kind of cut off at the top for these two little dotted eyes, if you will. Maybe that's supposed to represent some sort of architecture in New Haven. I'm going to plead ignorance on this one. I really don't know what all of this symbolizes. And even though I don't know, I'm still like, oh, that looks pretty good. I'm going to keep it out of sad it's gone at the top because, once again, it's a very tall, skinny logo, but it looks sharp, and it's definitely not in this mid-tier right here. New Haven Nighthawks is going to get some love from me. A beloved franchise out in New Haven, Connecticut, not quite to the same degree as the Beast of New Haven. Much better right here with the New Haven Nighthawks. Oh, from one bird to another, now we have the Hampton Gulls. Okay, this is, ooh, you can also tell this is a little bit old school, throwback, very simple, bare bones design here. Black and white, the color scheme. that's not exactly going to get great marks from me. Very plain, but I sort of like how the gull is sort of just slightly hovering, almost ascending out of the two L's in gulls. Oh, this is a tough one, because this could easily be bad. It could also be good. I don't know how I feel about this one. I feel like this might be a controversial one. Oh, because it is so simple. It's dull gulls. But I just really like that bird just sort of floating atop the text. And the text itself, I kind of like that. That's a very unique design without being overly complicated. You can read exactly what it is. I'm going to put this in not good but inoffensive. I'll split the difference and throw it right in the middle. Hampton Gulls go smack dab in the middle. Once again, if you're disagreeing with my rankings here, reach out in the comments, say why you disagree with me, and you know what? Let's start some more arguments. If you actually think I'm right, I want my supporters to fight the people that are trying to drag me down. We still have a couple logos to go, though, folks. Plenty more chance for you to get riled up at what I feel about these old defunct AHL team logos. Now we have the Albany River Rats, another team that played in the capital of New York for quite some time. Different affiliations: New Jersey Devils, Carolina Hurricanes. And I think a lot of people loved this logo just because it was around for a while. It's another logo that people might be a little bit nostalgic for. But for me, it's bad. It's not good. This little cartoony rat head, maybe a little bit too detailed. He almost looks like he has a shiner on the right eye, his left, our right, because you can see the whites of his eyes on the other one, but it's sort of all blacked out on this one. I'm not sure if that was on purpose or just a flaw in the way it was stroked out. He's sort of busting out of, is that supposed to be breaking out of ice? Is he jumping out of a pool? That would be impressive lower body strength if he could, but sort of ambiguous there. And this is where it really gets knocked down a peg for me, where it says River Rats down below. If you look really closely here, they actually have a rat tail, like a coiled, very detailed, almost grotesquely so, rat tail coming out of the bottom of the R in river. My question is why? You're just forcing it in there. No one needed that. It's not good kind of detail. It's just, oh, it's once again a hard thumbs down from me. So it's not quite the worst. It's not quite Beast of New Haven. It's not quite Pepsi Cap, but it's below the logos that we have up here. All right. It's been a while since I had a really hot take. Let's see if we can find someone that can really fire me up. Oh, this isn't necessarily that logo. This is the Quebec Citadels. Played for a very short time in the early 2000s in the American Hockey League here. Once again, unique color scheme. I sort of like this bronze with the purple and white. I think every individual color really pops here without overtaking the other ones. But I'm going to put it in not good but inoffensive because this is another one that I'm going to plead ignorance on. I don't get it. I don't understand what the goat head necessarily has to do with Quebec or Citadels. There's no real negative space work here. It's not like it forms a Q, or I guess you could maybe make the case that the goat beard makes a C, but I think that would be quite a stretch here. It's a good design. I really like the goat head itself. It's better than the ram head that just came out with the Los Angeles Rams with their rebrand, their redesign, but I can't put it up in good, and I don't want to put it in bad either because of the design, but this is one that I just don't get necessarily. So I'm going to put it right in the middle. All right, now we have the Moncton Golden Flames, and this one goes straight to the bottom. I'm not even going to tiptoe around this one. This is one of my least favorite designs ever because it is such a mail-it-in design. So you're the Moncton Golden Flames, so you're going to have flames worked in somehow. You just put a white M and then put some, I don't know, gelled hair on top. I guess that's supposed to be fire. This is a mess. It's just such a mail-it-in logo. And here's, I don't get this. It's curved on this side and then pointed on this side of the M. I don't get it. In fact, I hate it. It is a hard no from me. Totally under-designed, mail-it-in design. It doesn't look exciting. And it's not even, at least the Beast of New Haven, they were trying something. This is just a complete and total fail. Gets another thumbs down for me. Okay, now we have the New Brunswick Hawks. The New Brunswick Hawks, and you can see what they're doing right there. This is another sort of 70s style design where they're trying to do a lot with a little. And I've said before, I'm a sucker for 70s design. Just look at those Cincinnati Swords and Providence Reds, those kind. But This guy, I don't like at all. It's trying too hard. Trying too hard. You sort of have the K in Hawks. There's also the beak of the bird. And then the H, they had to make it a lowercase h because the top of the H makes the back of the bird head. And then, oh, this is the worst. This isn't even bad. This is the worst. An example of trying too hard, because then you even put a hockey stick in there to be the eyebrow of the bird for reasons unknown. This is sort of trying to replicate the magic that simple 70s styles logos had, and this one just went too far. It went overboard. Maybe if you even just had the top of the K be the beak and did everything else normal, it would be like, oh, okay, I get it. But once again, with the H, lowercase h, why are we doing lowercase letters? Make it pop, baby. Bold, boom, uppercase, put it in your face. No, we got a lowercase h so that we can justify making it the top of the bird head, and then a hockey stick for an eyebrow. Hard thumbs down. Back to back, the worst. St. John's Ice Caps. Oh, I'll tell you what's the worst. Not this logo, but the fact that St. John's, Newfoundland isn't in the American Hockey League anymore. So happy to see pro hockey in back on the rock again with the Newfoundland Growlers and the success that they've had in their brief time in the ECHL with pretty good logo, I may add. St. John's Ice Caps, when they returned to the AHL, I know a lot of people were fired up about it, but the logo was a little bit polarizing at the time. I'm not sure what people were really expecting whenever you were branded as the Ice Caps. But I like what they did. I'm in the good camp here. I think this is a good logo. The color scheme, you have the light blue and the dark blue. They're sort of modeling after the Winnipeg Jets. Sometimes you don't want to have different shades of the same color in a logo just because it sort of bogs down both of their effect. But I don't mind it here. And once again, just with that ice cap, the mountaintop in the background, the scenes that you'll see in St. John's, Newfoundland, just sort of ever so slightly put in the background there, all held together in this tidy circle with St. John's written on the top. It's nothing too crazy here, not overly detailed. They didn't go super simple like these guys up top, but what they were given to work with, ice caps, I think they did a pretty strong job here, so I'm throwing it in good. From St. John's, Newfoundland, we will now travel to St. John, New Brunswick. No, not the same. There we go. Had trouble grabbing the logo for a little bit there. St. John Flames. Penguins fans will remember this team as the squad that Penguins played in the Calder Cup final in just Wilkes-Barre Scranton's second season in the AHL. But unfortunately, St. John took home the cup that year. How do we feel about this guy here? You have a dragon menacingly over the word St. John. I like that font right there. I like the way St. John is written. The breathing fire sort of makes it a little bit imbalanced, similarly to the Lowell Lock Monsters here. How you have the tail kind of trickling out of the end, but it's not as egregious. You know what? I'm going to put this in good. I kind of like this. It might get a little bit overly detailed in the frills of the dragon head, but you know what? That's one intimidating looking beast right there. It doesn't go overly cartoony. It's mean. It means business. That's something people can get fired up for. And once again, really like that font, St. John. I like it. So I'm putting it in good. Simple as that, right, folks? Now we have the Richmond Robins. And, well, they go another direction. A lot of old school logo design. They try and go as simple as possible. These guys, once again, they went a little bit too Looney Tunes on this one. And you sort of have these psycho eyes on the Richmond Robin. Yeah, put together nicely in the circle and the yellow and red. I think that might be a little bit of an underutilized color scheme with certain teams. Yellow, red, and black. I like that. But it's too cartoony. It's, you know, Tweety Bird's hobo cousin who decided to play hockey. Oh, where do we go here? Richmond Robins. I'll just put it in bad. It's not quite the worst because I do like the colors. I don't know. Maybe it is the worst. No, I'm going to leave Richmond Robins in just bad for now. Once again, if you disagree with me, let loose in the comments. But I don't think it's quite as egregious as these other ones down here, where the New Brunswick Hawks were too over the top, trying too hard, Moncton Golden Flames trying too little, Pepsi bottle cap, and then the Beast of New Haven, this glorious monster down here, right out of the way of the worst. I think I should say, even though now we're like 30 minutes into the video, I'm not putting these in any specific order in their tiers. I'm not going to go best of the best or worst of the worst. We're just putting them in the categories right now. So even though Baltimore's after Omaha, XR Knights. That doesn't mean I think the Baltimore Skipjacks is worse or this one's better. I'm just putting them all in tiers for now. So don't freak out. We have 3 logos left. 3 logos left. And let us begin with the Philadelphia Firebirds. Oh, no. I despise this. This, for whatever reason, like elicits a visceral reaction in my stomach. I hate this. This is the worst. I absolutely despise this logo. Oh, I'm sorry. We had 4 left. One was hiding behind my capture here, but not the point. Let's get back to this guy here. This is another example of 70s design gone bad. Yes, I understand the F is supposed to form the beak and the bird head, but the bird head is so sort of pushed back and distant and under-designed that it's just sort of this fireball with an eye socket. It doesn't work for me. It just doesn't click. The idea is there, but the execution is absolutely in the basement. I despise this logo so much. And I don't know why, what makes it that much worse than the other ones down here in this bottom tier, but I absolutely hate this logo. Oh, for just being a, I'm running out of words to just how much I despise. Ugh, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Anyway, we got 3 left now. 3 for real this time. Actually, let me double check that before I actually make that guarantee. Oh yeah, 3 left. Okay, we're in the home stretch, people. Let's pull up a juggernaut, one that I think a lot of people are expecting to be in this conversation, and that is, of course, the Kentucky Thoroughblades. Oh boy, this guy here. Well, let's start with the color scheme itself. I guess it's trying to model itself after the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim with the eggplant purple and the green, but there's also this gray that's in there as well. And I'm not a huge fan of it. It doesn't work in such a charming fashion as the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim did. Maybe that's because the purple was more of a focal point of the Ducks uniforms and not so much in the actual logo itself. It was more about the Wild Wing, or what is he? Mighty Wing? Wild Wing? Wild Wing. The Wild Wing duck mask. This guy here, Thoroughblades, we have this thoroughbred horse who has been doing his push-ups, doing his pull-ups. This guy is absolutely shredded, and it's not good. It's over the top. It's ridiculous. The Kentucky Thoroughblades. I'm going to put it in bad. It's not quite the worst, probably just because I'm still trying to get the bad taste of the Philadelphia Firebirds out of my mouth. And there is something charming about going this crazy with your logo, but there's a lot happening here. Once again, you have this absolutely ripped and shredded Mustang thoroughbred horse here, but they get like overly detailed in trying to make him look like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson here. He has this almost horseshoe tattoo on the front. If you look really closely and squint, you can see the chiseled nature of his abdominal muscles here. Someone was feeling some type of way whenever they designed this logo, let me tell you that much. And then even in the background, they don't really center it on a triangle. It kind of gets cut off here at the end, making more of like a parallelogram. It's weird. It's strange. And I don't get why that decision was made necessarily. And the way Thoroughblades is written, very thin and italicized, it's hard to actually read it from a long ways away. And once again, you want to think about how a logo is going to look on the front of a jersey or on a hat. How are you going to put that on a hat? It's so very detailed, down to minutia, almost overkill. It is overkill. That it's going to be hard to necessarily recognize those details from far away or at a quick glance. It doesn't necessarily pop or jump out at you. Now, you're going to remember it because, once again, we have an absolutely jacked horse here with some great inside and outside edges. Look at the way he's able to hold his balance there in that position. But Kentucky Thoroughblades is bad. I'm not going to put it in the worst. It's staying in bad for now. However, one I will put in the worst is the Wooster Ice Cats. Once again, feels like such a mail-it-in logo. Now, the Wooster Ice Cats, they had a couple of different logos during their time in the American Hockey League. But this one, once again, long, and the color scheme itself, it's like purple and teal, and no, it's a no guy from me. Hard no guy from this guy right here. And what's going on with the back of the cat head here. Is this supposed to be a water droplet? Is this supposed to be like an ice streak because they are the Ice Cats? I really don't understand what the heck is going on in this logo. It's just super under-designed to a fault, where they wanted to go with this cartoony cat head and then just sort of gave up after they put in the details of the eyes, nose, and teeth, and we're just like, yeah, we'll just make it, you know, into this thing in the back end. I don't know what the heck is going on there. It's a hard no from me. This goes into under-designed, the depths of the under-designed world, and it belongs in the worst in our tier list of defunct AHL team logos. We have one left here, and I saved a goodie for last. I couldn't decide if I wanted to leave a trash one or a good one for last, but I left this guy for last. The Maine Mariners. Maine Mariners. Portland, Maine, another one of my favorite cities to visit. Unfortunately, not in the American Hockey League anymore, but this guy belongs in the top two tiers, absolutely no doubt about it. Simple, but there's something about it that just speaks to you. Something about it that absolutely pops. Very Philadelphia Flyers-esque with that bright orange dot in the middle. And even though we're not necessarily working with the soaring P of classic 70s, or I guess in the Flyers case, late 60s logo design, the M made by Maine Mariners or in the background doesn't seem forced. It doesn't seem forced. And then you have sort of the ship's wheel in the middle, just like the Baltimore Skipjacks here. But this guy, it's going into sad, it's gone for me. Maybe that's my bias being sad that Portland, Maine isn't in the American Hockey League anymore. But I'm sad you don't get to see that logo twirling around on the ice anymore at all. Maybe the current Maine team up in the ECHL might do a little bit of a throwback night and bring those bad boys back for a hot minute. But that is it. That is 30 defunct AHL team logos spelled out for you in nice and tidy tiers. Let's go through these real quick, folks. In the sad it's gone category, the very best of the best, in my opinion, Cincinnati Swords, Nova Scotia Voyageurs, Providence Reds, Fredericton Express, and the Maine Mariners. Good logos. You have the Omaha Knights. Not a good name, but I like the logo. Baltimore Skipjacks, New Haven Nighthawks, St. John's Ice Caps, and St. John Flames. In our middle tier, just sort of cruising in the middle ground, not good but inoffensive, Houston Aeros, Iowa Chops, Oklahoma City Barons, Carolina Monarchs, Hampton Gulls, and Quebec Citadel, and the bad logos, Abbotsford Heat, Lowell Lock Monsters, Cleveland Barons, Edmonton Roadrunners, Baltimore Bandits, Albany River Rats, Richmond Robins, and Kentucky Thoroughblades. And lastly, your very bottom category here, the Beast of New Haven, the Buffalo Bisons, or Buffalo Soda Pops, I guess is what they were going for. Moncton Golden Flames, New Brunswick Hawks, the Philadelphia Firebirds, and the Wooster Ice Cats. Once again, you can leave a comment on this video and tell me where you think I got it wrong. Maybe there were some old AHL team logos that you think should have been on this list, and maybe tell me what ones we couldn't fit into our 30 and which tier you think they belong in as well. Furthermore, we're going to be doing more of these tier list videos throughout this current pause in the American Hockey League season. We're going to do NHL logos. We're going to do other logos from around pro hockey, and then we're going to do something really fun here. Remember these bottom 6, because we will also do a worst of the worst logo ranking once we go through those other videos as well. But I've taken up enough of your time, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. Make sure to stay safe out there. Follow the CDC's guidelines. We'll all get through this together. Stay inside. Enjoy yourselves. And hey, let's go Pens.